What up, everybody? It is DZ Sports Talk here, and today I'm coming at you with another video. Today I'm going to the part 2 of every team's perfect offseason this year, and I'm coming up next with the Cincinnati Bengals. We just did the Pittsburgh Steelers. Check out my last video if you haven't. We're starting off with the Bengals, and they had a pretty rough year as expected. Joe Burrow, he started off looking like one of the Rookie of the Years. He unfortunately tore his ACL midway through the year. He was throwing a ton of passes a game, completing a lot of passes as well, and throwing for a big amount of yards. He was up there in yards. And at times he was looking like a really poised veteran, like he knew what he was doing. He was really comfortable, but he also had a few flashes of like rookie mistakes and looking a little out of sorts. But he played really well, and their biggest key this offseason is getting back healthy and full 100% next year, because they're going to need him to win games. And it looks like that's exactly what he's doing. He looks like he's getting healthier. He's confident in himself and what he can do. So that's exciting for them. So Bengals have a big offseason ahead of them. They have a lot of guys re-sign who aren't stars by any means and might not even be a part of the long-term future, but they're going to need to re-sign for right now so they don't do absolutely horse shit. So in the next couple years. So let's start with the wide receiver position. AJ Green, he's got to go. He's 33 years old, constantly getting injured, and just not what he used to be. And there's videos of him midway through the year asking to get traded on the sideline. So he doesn't really want to be there anymore. Cincinnati doesn't need them. They got some other good receivers coming up. We'll talk about one receiver, John Ross. He's an upcoming free agent. He's got to go, very unfortunate to see what happened to him. Injuries really hurt his career at the beginning of his career. And then in 2019, he started off really well, actually showed some promise, putting up some big numbers in a few games. And he averaged 63 yards a game in 8 games, which is pretty solid, until he got injured again. And he was absolutely useless in 2020. And I think it's time for him to go. He ran the fastest time at the combine with the 4.22, but it just didn't translate to the NFL. If they choose to go wide receiver with their first pick, which they could, they do have Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins. T. Higgins is looking like he can be a number 1 guy for them. Tyler Boyd's also number 1, number 2 for them. He's a very solid receiver in the NFL. But if they choose to go wide receiver, they can go Devontae Smith from Alabama, the Heisman winner, or former LSU receiver Jamar Chase to go with Burrow, who I think would be a lot better fit for them. They have guys like Tyler Boyd, who's just really solid at everything. Good route runner, good hands, can make catches, do whatever you need. T. Higgins, he's a deep threat, gets a lot of yards after catch, can break tackles, but yeah, he's the deep threat. Jamar Chase is a guy who can do it all, score many touchdowns, he can break tackles, he can excellent route runner, a lot of speed. He's just one of the perfect wide receivers. So I think if you're going wide receiver, you have to go him. Yeah, getting T. Higgins last year was a huge steal for them. He looked like he can be a top 10, maybe even top 5 guy in the league. Next up, O-line is an absolute must for the Bengals this offseason to protect Joe Burrow. That's exactly what they need to do. He was running for his life half the time, and it eventually led to an injury that was out for the season. So yeah, they need to protect him. Jonah Williams, who they got a couple years ago, finally starting to play like he can be a franchise tag for them. He played pretty solid last year after his first year back from an injury. A guy who's been creeping up the draft boards this year is Rashawn Slater, a tackle from Northwestern. He had a PFF grade of 90, which is phenomenal. He had an absolutely dominant year. And if he will be there at number 5, but if they want to keep that pick, or if they want to trade down a couple spots, if that's possible, and pick him up, or if they just want to go in with him right away, because he's looking like a beast, and he could absolutely boost their O-line immediately and start opposite of Jonah Williams. So you have 2 tackles there to protect him. A guy that can look to get in free agency is guard Joe Thuney. He's one of the big names on the market, one of the biggest of offensive linemen. He played phenomenal last year. He's expected to get a 4-year deal around $60 million, and he is from Dayton, Ohio, and his sister said he would be interested in coming to the Bengals, which would be huge for them. If they can get a Pro Bowl, All-Pro type guard like Joe Thuney to play with them, that could help their run game, Joe Mixon, and help protect Burrow, exactly what they need. So building the offensive line is how you're going to win games in Cincinnati. On defense, they have a lot of holes to fix. It's pretty brutal. Carl Lawson's going to be a free agent. He's just been okay in his first 4 years. He started off with 8.5 sacks, but just since then has been pretty mediocre. Hasn't really progressed at all. He's gotten 5 sacks in back-to-back years. But their lack of talent on defense, D-line, especially the D-line, their lack of talent, they might have to keep him around and hope he can produce more. And hope he can become an elite talent defensive lineman, maybe elite pass rusher. William Jackson, the corner, he's another guy they can look to bring back. He's 28 now, soon to be 29. He has been a solid corner for the last few years, but he did struggle last year. He struggled in 2019 and came back in 2020, played strong. Well, he's the most productive guy. He won't get a ton of interceptions, but he can lock up your number one corner sometimes. He has struggled more than he had in his first few years recently, but he can still make some plays for you, and I think he's a guy to bring back because they don't have much on corner, and they need to keep him around for the next few years, in my opinion. They really need linebackers. They have Logan Wilson, who they just drafted, who's a solid rookie, but he's going to be more of just like a guy who can get tackles, a lot of tackles, probably won't be much. They can go after maybe a veteran linebacker like Denzel Perryman or A.J. Williamson, someone who has a veteran presence who can lead this team, because they really don't have much on, especially in the linebackers. Or then they get a good edge rusher like Hassan Reddick, who was very underused in Arizona, except for the last year where he had double-digit sacks finally. Very athletic, but he could instantly boost their defense. They had a chance to sign Shaq Barrett a couple years ago, but their medical staff said he had something wrong with his shoulder, and Barrett said he had nothing wrong with his shoulder, and he's pretty disappointed with not getting a contract there, which that's a huge loss for Cincinnati. So he is a free agent again this year if the Bucs don't re-sign him. But after that, I don't see him coming to Cincinnati. And maybe if the Ravens don't re-sign Inikin Ngakwe, Bengals can go after him. They need to go after some big free agent splashes this year. They got a lot of money to do so. They got a lot of holes to fix that just can't be done all in one season. But if they can keep Burrow healthy this year and the next year, and I mean forever, and just make a few good moves, the Bengals could be looking like playoff contenders in the next couple of years, maybe even 2 years. So look out for them. That's all I got for you today, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And I'll catch you later. Easy out here. Peace.